6 months ago I set out on a journey to create my very first good video game, and then it went silent on my channel. It went silent because I dedicated all my time to development to see if it's possible to publish Elemental Blades in 6 months. It's a game about 4 elemental swords with a focus on combining different elements to fight enemies, solve puzzles, and directly influence the game world. It's been quite a ride, so let's find out where the journey has taken us. I left the shore by finishing Waverider the Waterblade. I wanted to give it the ability to get rid of annoying enemies with that big wave, and added a ball of water that bounces around and leaves behind a trail. As some of you suggested, this trail can now be frozen with the jump ability, which provided some great crowd control as well. With that, Waverider was done and I moved on to the interaction between the elements. There are basic interactions like water extinguishes fire, fire melts ice, but also more useful ones like watering the bush will enlarge the root duration, or hitting the rock with the air blade will throw it faster and deal more damage. However, the most impactful interaction occurs when the earth jump ability is landed on top of a water or a fire trail. Triggering all those abilities was pretty fun, but on the other side really useless since the enemies didn't do much. So I spent the next weeks with the enemy AI. They got weaknesses, strengths, the ability to block, and even though I developed according to my plans, I realized the problem with the current combat system. All the dodging and blocking turned the project into an Elden Ring but worse kinda experience, while moving away more and more from the project's core, elemental interactions and interactable game world. The combat simply filled out way too much space while barely relying on the other aspects. So even though I consider this project well structured, it was time for some restructuring. In order to combine combat, elemental interactions and the interactable game world in a balanced way, I had to reduce combat, lift up the interactable game world, and implementing those changes turned Elemental Blades into Hues of Hope. You are a painter with a magical brush on a mission to recolor the world, and at first glance it's hard to believe that these games are based on the same idea, so let me explain what I did. First, I reduced the weight of combat by turning it from a combo-based melee style to a color-based ranged style. Color-based means that you have to switch or even mix different colors in order to deal more damage or to unlock the elemental magic of your brush. For example, blue blobs are immune to blue paint, but get more damage if you mix red with yellow. If you then combine orange with this dust, you'll activate the fire ability and start shooting fireballs. This way, combat and color or elemental interactions are combined way better than before, while lifting up the interactable game world as well, which is the second change. Instead of only affecting the world by the elemental magic, you are now able to directly affect your surroundings with the colors. Since you shoot paint, all objects you hit will be recolored, which is the main goal of the game. The entire world is black and white in the beginning, and you need to recolor objects by hand or by reactivating those crystals. Whether you let objects appear in order to cross rivers, recolor them to get experience, or affect them with the different elements, it feels pretty good to just interact with the stuff around you, which is the biggest advantage I gained from adding the color-themed story. Through those 2 major changes, I managed to balance the 3 pillars of the game pretty good, and that's where the journey ended. I had to rebuild some mechanics from the beginning, and the restructuring required some systems that consumed a lot of time, but overall I'm quite satisfied even though I'm far away from reaching land. I knew from the beginning that I wasn't able to publish Elemental Blades in 6 months, but I really wanted to see how far I'd come without producing content on YouTube. To be honest, the difference wasn't too big since I decided to spend a set amount of hours developing the game, as I mentioned in my video about why a lot of us game devs fail. I didn't want to burn out while spending uncountable hours in front of my PC, so I used the time I got from not producing videos for something like touching grass. Jokes aside, I'm really happy with the development process and about the current state of the project, and even though it might increase development time, I'm going to keep you updated on Hues of Hope somewhere around once a month, starting in the next weeks with a complete overview of the new features. Until then, I'm really curious to hear what you think about the mentioned changes, and if you want to learn more about my journey, go check out this video. Other than that, thanks a lot for watching and have a good one.